In today's video, we're going to be going over some of my most worn fragrances after collecting for over 8 years at this point. These are some of the ones that I've utilized and worn the most. Now, obviously, this has changed a little bit here and there as some new fragrances have come out and I've introduced those into my rotation more. I've worn those more, but we've also got some real classics in here. Just about tripped there, but we've got some real classics. Some things that I've just worn since the beginning. I've worn them so much, especially in the beginning, that, you know, when you go through a full bottle and then some, it can be kind of hard to beat that as time goes on. So you're going to see some older stuff in here as well. Maybe some not so exciting things, but that's what this video is. It's just my most worn stuff. So if you want some tried, tested, and proven fragrances by me, ones that just work, that I get a lot of enjoyment out of, that I've just really used and abused, these are it. We're going to start off with such a basic one, such a classic. It's Sauvage Eau de Toilette, one of many bottles too. So this one's sitting at about right here or so. This is, I have several bottles of the Eau de Toilette rotated through different ones. Like this is 2016 batch here. I believe I've got a few more 2016s and maybe even a 2015. I think 2015 was a launch year, but I could be wrong. Something like that. A lot of vintage bottles that I stocked up on around that time period and a few years after, really getting into it because I wanted to maintain that Sauvage that I loved and wore so much. You know, I didn't want it to get reformulated and me be stuck with a lesser good version. I don't really think that was the case. I've smelled newer versions plenty of times and it's not really a big deal at all. Now, can you make the argument that you would be better off buying some flankers? Probably so. So maybe you might be better off spending your money on the Eau de Parfum, the Parfum, maybe even the Elixir if you want to go that route. So there's plenty of options. But as far as which one I've worn the most, it would be Sauvage Eau de Toilette by a long shot. I've worn the crap out of this stuff, even back in high school, just wearing Sauvage EDT all the time. It was one of my go-tos. A lot of the reason because performance. It's something I could spray on in the morning and it would actually last through the entire day and keep going. There's nothing worse than throwing on something that wears off by lunchtime. That's just frustrating. That was never the case with Sauvage, and so I took advantage of that. I utilized this stuff as much as I could, and to be honest, I kind of miss it. I wish I would even wear it more often these days as well, because something about smelling that stuff, it's just, I don't know, just smells great. All right, this next one is a little bit newer here. It is Le Male Elixir by Jean-Paul Gaultier. So basically we have the honey, the tonka bean, and the lavender in here as well. Vanilla to go along with it too, but again, mostly honey, tobacco mixture. That's kind of what makes this one stand out against the others. It actually gives it just a little bit more of a mature and sophisticated smell compared to something like Ultra Male, which I've also worn a lot as well, but Ultra Male, even the original, maybe some of the other flankers thrown in there as well, that just go in that very much youthful direction. This still does have that. So this is not doing a completely different, 180 where now it's not in that DNA at all. It still is. It just is a little bit more of a mature take on that type of smell, which is nice, really, when you consider just how sweet and kind of playful most of these are. And you'll find, at least, from what I've seen looking around online, a lot of people who didn't like Ultra Male and maybe were kind of bored by the original have taken a bit of a liking to the Elixir. I think this was a really well done, polished, and smart release. Something that makes a lot of sense here. I think this was really well executed. So it's a great flanker. Usually, at least right now, you can get 125 ml testers for $99. So right there at a $100 price point. Not bad at all for this stuff. Great quality, amazing performance, decent price for today's standards. This next one is Versace Man Eau Fraiche. So those who know already know this, but this and Nautica Voyage were my two first purchases ever. I don't remember if this was the bottle that was the first one because I have two of them. I think my other more empty one was my first actual bottle. This one was kind of a backup. But I have gone through this stuff so much. I can't even tell you. This might be like my most worn scent ever, just out of everything in this video. I remember getting this and it was all I wore. I wore it more than Nautica Voyage just because I did like it a bit better. It was better quality, and I went through this stuff like crazy. This is all about the musk, the citrus, the star fruit, a little bit of a white floral in here as well. Just a nice, bright, uplifting, refreshing smelling scent. Just absolutely amazing. It's been out for years now. This is nothing new. The Man Eau Fraiche Extreme would be something new, right? But just this original here, man, it's just, it's pure nostalgia for me. And still, at least in my opinion, a decent pickup these days. You know, you might prefer the Extreme. That might be the better purchase, although double the price or more. So that's something you have to weigh out as well. But I don't know, there's just something about this for me that I love, and I've worn the heck out of it. Like I said, I've got another bottle that's like really right down to the very bottom. That was one that I got first. And I don't even know if I still have it. I might have lost it or maybe threw it away because it was so low. I don't know. But anyway, worn the crap out of this stuff, and I hardly ever touch it anymore. And again, kind of like Sauvage EDT, I wish I would, and maybe I should. All right, this next one it's Acqua de Joe Parfum, but really it started off as Profumo. I'm not showing discontinued fragrances in this video, so this is what it is now. This is what you can buy right now. But Profumo is, of course, what it started out as. One of my very favorite signature scents. Again, yet another one that I have worn countless times, days in a row, for weeks at a time, just always, you know. There was a point where I was always wearing that stuff. And that's one that I still do wear a lot. Again, in this Parfum format here, this is one I took on vacation with me just last month to Florida. You know, after all these years, I'm still even taking this type of scent DNA along with me when I have to be very selective about what I take. I'm not trying to pack a whole bunch of stuff, and it's still one that I do utilize. So this is one that, man, it stuck with me. The incense patchouli aquatic note deal that this has going on is timeless. It's so versatile. It's a huge compliment puller and a great performer because it is an actual parfum. That was always kind of a debate with Profumo. Was it a parfum or not? It very much was. It even said so on the bottom of the bottle. I just don't think that they really advertised it that well, but they made it very clear with this kind of, new rendition, which is just, again, changing the bottle and the name and basically keeping the scent the same. Very familiar with the stuff, worn it for years, absolutely love it. Acqua de Joe Parfum, one of the best signature scents that you can purchase. Alrighty, this next one, I'm not gonna spend much time on it. It was my wedding day scent. Every major event pretty much that I attend, which aren't, it's not like I go to that many, but the ones that I do go to, usually I choose this. It's Creed Aventus. Very clearly not my first bottle. This is one of my newer ones, metal cap. My first bottles would have been the 120 ml cooler looking bottles, to be fair, the broad shouldered Creeds, but again, this is just what it looks like nowadays if you were to buy it. That metal cap is a nice little touch. They increased the price by like $200 or something over the course of over 10 years. Now you get a metal cap with it at least. Again, this is, I've worn this stuff so much. So many different batches, bottles, clones, whatever you want to call it. Mostly actual Aventus is what I've worn the most, but I've also worn plenty of clones as well for times when I'm feeling cheap. The point is, I've worn this stuff like crazy and had to be in this video for that reason. All right, this next one from Dior. I love my Dior scents, and Dior Homme Intense is one that was just done right. Not everybody's favorite, it's sweet, it's powdery. Some people say makeup bag or lipstick, and I see where they're coming from. I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not gonna say that this is everybody's dream come true. It is definitely not. I caution you to be careful, If blind buy is something that you normally do, just make sure you kind of have an understanding of what this is about. If you don't want to buy it, at least try it so you can understand what it smells like. Because this is kind of an iconic scent. This and the original Dior Homme started off a whole new trend, and that trend is still kind of ongoing. We're still getting new iris releases here and there, although it has slowed down a lot, making way for a lot of the new either overly sweet chestnut-based scents or, sage, lavender, geranium, blue fragrance type scents. So it's like a revolving door. New trends are always coming and going. But iris was a big one for a long time, and this really contributed to that. The iris, the lavender, the ambrette kind of chocolatey smell just gives this a sweet, seductive, sexy smell. Not masculine in the traditional sense. Probably could go either way, to be honest with you. If you're a woman who likes how this smells, wear it, enjoy it. So that's one of the things about this one. is it's not your Sauvage, where it does smell like a men's cologne. This is a bit different in that regard, but again, it's something that is unique, something that's a change of pace, and I've worn it a lot in wintertime. This is not my only bottle either, and this is a 2017 bottle here, but I've got a couple more, tried to stock up on it, and this is one of the ones that I hit pretty hard. This next one is Dolce & Gabbana The One Eau de Parfum. So this is, I dug this one out. There it is. So I don't wear this anymore because if I finish this, I have to throw it away, right? You know, what kind of psycho keeps a completely bone dry bottle in their collection? That's probably something I would do, but you know, I'm leaving that in there because this was my first bottle. This was my very first one. Again, very first bottle. Have gone through this stuff like crazy. I've got another bottle that is down to like, I don't know, the halfway point that I usually feature in videos because you could see more of the liquid. But again, I dug this one out just for the sake of this video. So yeah, gone through this stuff like crazy. One of the very best date night scents. Like I've said before a million times at this point, I just like to wear it in the evenings. You know, after you get out of the shower, you're winding down, just hanging out, throw on Dolce & Gabbana The One EDP. It's just a nice, soft, subtle way to end your night. And it's not, you know, being obnoxious and projecting when you're trying to sleep. You know, you don't want to be wearing something that is keeping you awake and just being annoying. There's just something soft and comforting about that one to wear. It's good for that time of night. But again, going out on dates and stuff in the evening, perfect for that. I've gotten into Spicebomb Eau de Toilette pretty good over the years as well. Also my first bottle here, you can see where it's sitting about right there. Pretty dark liquid too. I think the newer bottles, the liquid looks a little bit lighter than that. That does stand out. My writing on the front's kind of wearing away too, unfortunately. But yeah, Sauvage EDT, worn this one a ton. I've worn the Extreme a lot as well. Probably have still worn this one more, but honestly, it's probably pretty close because Sauvage, or I keep saying Sauvage, Spicebomb Extreme is a favorite of mine for wintertime. I love the more mature take that it has, but this one also is one that I utilized heavily. Mainly, again, performance is great, compliment factor is great, and it's satisfying. Nice cinnamon, spicy tobacco. It's a big head turner. It's a fun wearing experience. Anybody who's worn Spicebomb, which most of you have, it's different than normal. It's not just a smooth, kind of easygoing, soapy, clean scent. It's the opposite. It is spicy, strong, in your face, punchy, and you know, that's kind of exciting. We're gonna finish this video off with kind of another classic, a 2016, late, very end of 2015 release, I think officially, is Invictus Aqua. Now this is my 2024 bottle just for display purposes. As you can see there, it just says Rabanne, has the logo, but obviously I have multiples of the 2016s that I of course have worn ever since it first came out and I got my hands on it. It was a favorite of mine, it still is, but they discontinued it for a while. That was a big scare. I bought backup bottles and felt safe for a little while, and then I wished I would have bought more during that time period. And then all to find out that they're bringing it back again, and this has been back for a little while again. Obviously 2024 here, and still available on discounters right now. And it's Invictus Aqua 2016. I don't know really if I can tell a difference. It's, again, pretty much exact. Whereas something like the 2018, for example, was different, noticeably so, to the point where I didn't really care for that one as much. It wasn't as strong. It was actually kind of fresher, which sounds weird because this is kind of a fresh scent, right? But it was, I don't know, it was lighter, almost soapier. It lacked the very strong kind of, I don't know, Invictus Aqua smell, that signature punchy, stringent, aquatic type of deal that this has. I'm not able to describe it very well, but the 2018 did not have that. This does. And over the years, I've worn it a ton. I've worn Versace House a lot. I've worn Legend Spirit by Mont Blanc a lot. Just anything that's kind of related to that Invictus Aqua smell, I've worn it a lot. And so definitely had to be in this video for sure. Obviously, again, this is my 2024, pretty much full. I actually have a couple bottles of this as well, which throws things off. But my 2016s, I've got a couple of them actually that are very, very running on low. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some of my most worn fragrances over the course of, since the beginning, I think 8 years going on about now, which is crazy. And you know, these are just the ones I've gravitated towards. I'll drop links to these down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.